How you guys doing? Good morning. Nice rainy day in Manhattan. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. First, I think it makes sense to do some introductions. I'm Ross Turk. I'm the Director of Community for SourceForge. And my job is to keep the geeks happy who use our website. And this is Karim Lakhani from Harvard Business School. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Karim.
Sure. What do you want to know?
What do you want to know? What do you do? What do you care about? And what do you hope to bring to the discussion?
Yeah. So I'm a professor in the Technology and Operations Management Unit at HBS. So we get 900 MBA students per year that we try to indoctrinate. And I teach in the Operations and Management course, and we have a whole section on innovation, how innovations happen. My research actually is focused in on all these forms of collaborative and external innovation systems that we're seeing emerge in software, but in other domains as well. Mm-hmm. And I try to understand under what conditions does it pay for us to collaborate, under what conditions does it make sense for us to be proprietary, and how sort of the model for technology development is changing radically.
Okay. And we also have a copy of your book out in the lobby for everybody to take. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so the book is was one of the first academic pieces, although it's accessible to the lay audience too, looking at open source software. So for those that don't know, open source software is basically collections of people forming, self-organizing, or around a company, creating software that is available for free. Free in terms of both usage, but also in terms of modification. This is not supposed to happen from the economic tradition, right? So economics would say people need to get paid for their activities, and you would keep things private because you want to get a gain from it. But over the last 20 years, we've seen an explosion in many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people participating. And so from many domains in the academy, there was concern that we don't understand this. And so this book was an attempt to collect the best leading perspectives on open source software and put it together and make it addressable both to the academic audience, but also to the lay audience.
Okay, and we're going to talk a lot about open source and what it is and what it means to marketing a little bit later, but we'll consider that book the home game. And Chris Anderson is the editor-in-chief of Wired Magazine. Same questions to you. What do you care about? What do you do? And what do you hope to bring to the discussion?
So I care a lot about the subject. I live in Silicon Valley, and so we follow this as a story. I also I participate. My background is I'm not a media guy. I'm a computational physicist. And so the idea of sort of open collaboration, which started a lot in the scientific world, and we see a lot of that. So scientists. The notion of open source should not be radical because that science has always worked this way. You publish openly, people build on stand on the shoulders of giants, build and work before. So there's a long in theory, but there's a long tradition of collaborative, open sharing and sort of collective pursuit of a goal. So I came from that world and then went to the technology world. I worked for Condé Nast, so I'm like you can imagine how freaky this is. I'm a college dropout, college failout, high school dropout, played in punk rock bands for my 20s. Decided to, at 27 to go back to college and get serious and become a hardcore physicist. Failed at that as well. Ended up working for scientific journals. As again, I sort of scientist by proxy, and then sort of freakishly got hired by the Devil Wears Prada company to work alongside the ladies with the pointy shoes. Which is where I spent my morning and I'll spend my afternoon. So I'm in the media world. I have now learned a lot about sort of how media works, but I come very much from the world of open innovation. And I write books. So Free is my latest book. The Long Tail is the previous book. I have started companies on the side that are all based on this, including an open source robotics company. So I do hardware. Everything I do, all my writings for Condé Nast are copyright Condé Nast. All my writings for Disney, the publisher of that, are copyright Disney. And everything else I do is Creative Commons. It's all in the open. It's all free to take, modify, use, give me credit, whatever. And it works tremendously. So I run communities around robotics, and we are seeing how to. And at this point, my value to all the pointy shoes add a lot of value to to Condé Nast from a kind of the traditional brand perspective, but the notion of building communities online today, which I think is essential and is really the future of media, is something we're actually learning more. I'm learning more from my robotics and software work than I am in my day-to-day job with traditional media. So we're trying to figure out how does a robotics community's lessons apply to Vogue?
Interesting. John Sobel is group president of SourceForge and comes from a media background. John, same questions to you. What do you care about?
Oh, as I think back over my career so far, I've been very drawn to disruptive technologies, things like the internet, of course, and open source. And I have definitely been, in recent years, really attracted to the power of collaboration and the way in so many aspects that the traditional ways that we think about how companies work and how they organize themselves and how we're supposed to do things are changing more rapidly than I think many of us appreciate. I know that's very airy. I'll fill that in as we go. Just a little bit about me. I was trained as a lawyer. I joined Yahoo early on in its life. It was a couple hundred people. And I went in as in-house counsel and became chief counsel there. Most of my time was spent kind of dealing with what was happening with the medium and all the collisions between the internet industry and media, travel, real estate, the whole shooting match. Just a fascinating time, and I was, just drawn into what the web was doing to established industries. After that, I had a couple of years where I was with CBS Television as one of their kind of bridges to Silicon Valley, to the technology world, and came to SourceForge thinking that I was joining a typical web media company. Immediately was drawn into the open source ethos, and I will confess I had no idea how pervasive open source was, both as a way of building technology and then through, thanks so much to our relationship with Karim and Chris, I've learned so much about how it's happening all over the place. And I'm convinced that what we're seeing in open source is a very profound model for how lots of other parts of the world are already working. So I've been drawn to all of that, and I continue just to try and get as deep into this as I can. It is, a series of new insights all the time. It's wonderful.